Hi, hello everyone, and welcome. Happy New Year, and welcome back to my channel. How you all doing? If you're a first time subscriber here, my name is Ohaegbulam, and you're welcome to my channel where I share everything on books, faith, and the package life. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here. And yeah, please, if you like this video, if you enjoy this video, do like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I'll be glad. I'm really glad to have you in this community. And yeah, let's get right into the video for today. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. I'll be sharing 5 reading tips for 2021. Okay, and yeah, it's a new year, and we want to read better. I want to read better, and I hope you also want to read better. And so these 5 tips are tips I feel are going to be helpful for me. I actually put them down after reflecting on my reading goals for last year. Okay, so I want to put it out there so that subsequently during the year I can always come back here and look at this video and see the tips and see that I'm still achieving my reading goals. Alright, so we get into it. The first reading tip is set a reading goal. Okay, and what do I mean by set a reading goal? A lot of people come into the new year saying they want to read 100 books, they want to read a particular amount of books for the year. Okay, so 150, some people say 12 books, some people say 52 books, so, and some people say they want to read 2 books in a week, 1 book a week, or some people say, okay, I want to start reading 2 pages every day, so these are all goals. These are types of goals that you can set for yourself. For me, actually, my reading goal for this year is an intentional reading growth. Okay, so I want to grow more in my reading capacity, and I want to do that very intentionally. So yeah, that's my goal that's my reading goal for the year. Okay, so then that takes us to tip number 2. Tip number 2 is get a reading journal. And if you've watched one of my previous videos I did, which when I was talking about journals, yes, I think that was like my last video for the year. I showed you a reading journal. I showed you a printout of my e-journal. So you can also get anyone. You can get a notepad or something, but make it a writing material anyways, and then make that your reading journal. Because do you know why you need the reading journal? You need to be able to measure your reading growth. And the only way you can do that is if you're putting it down, if you're putting it down somewhere. If you're putting it down somewhere. When I mean somewhere is, I read today, in whatever writing style you might choose, have a reading journal. Get a reading journal. Alright, so the third tip is going to be have a plan. Alright, so now you see that I mentioned my reading goals as a first tip to have a reading goal. And then, whenever you have a goal, you have to make sure you have ways in which you want to accomplish that goal. You have to have smart ways to accomplish those goals. And part of having that smart way is to do what? Have a plan. And in having a plan, you want to ask yourself, what reading style will I be applying to achieve my goals? And by reading style, I mean, am I reading leadership books? Am I reading African books by African authors, or book by Nigerian authors? What style, what approach do you want to proceed, in achieving your reading goals? So that's what I mean by having a plan. And second, that's first, under that having a plan. The second thing I think is worthy of note under the third tip is set a reading schedule. So after you've dictated, or after you've said to yourself, okay, this is the reading style I want to use, you now have to have a reading schedule. When you read during the day, and how many pages you read, or when you read during the week, things like that. Yeah, and that brings us to the 4th tip. And the 4th tip will be books. I call it books accessibility. Okay, so now you have, we're talking about reading tips. And we're talking about this reading tips because we want to read more books, because we want to improve our reading culture. And so you have to ask yourself some questions. And one of the questions would be, do I have these books in my shelf? Do I need to visit bookshops or libraries, to get this book? And by this book, I'm referring to the books you decided you want to read, your reading style, remember? Okay, so you also have to ask yourself, do I need to download some free ebooks, or do I need to join a book club? All those are because in book clubs you're reading books there, obviously, so they make some books accessible, or you can have access to some books. So this you have to ask yourself. So book accessibility, that's the fourth point. You have to ask yourself, how do I get hold of this book? Do I already have them in my shelf, or do I have to buy some more? Do I have to visit the bookshop? Yes, it's very early in the year, so this is a good time to visit the bookshop and shop and do a book haul, a book shopping haul, or books shopping haul, whatever. All right, so the fifth and the final tip that I have for you is be accountable to yourself. You have to be accountable, and this also takes us back to the journal, to the second tip, having a reading journal. All right, so by reviewing your goals, and how are you accountable? You have to review these goals you've set for yourself every week, or you do it monthly, and the only place you can do that is in your journal. So now you see why you need a journal. All right, so let's go over the 5 tips again. The first tip I mentioned was set a reading goal. The second tip was get a reading journal. The third tip, have a plan. The fourth tip, books accessibility. And the final tip was be accountable to yourself. Alright, until I come your way in my next video, keep reading, keep learning, and keep leading.